Everyone, we'll get started here in just a moment. We're going to work on Ujjayi Pranayama. Just going to join in. I'm also going to invite some people to join in. So please be patient. Hello, Deborah. Hi, Mara. Jill. Emmy, welcome everyone. So we're just going to wait a couple of minutes, see if anyone else joins in. And we're working on Ujjayi today. Hi, Jen. While we're waiting, hey, August. While we're waiting for everyone to join in, let me make sure the mic is working okay. Hey, Sean. So just type a comment if you can hear me. Hi, Jill. How are you? So yeah, if you can hear me okay, let me know. I'm using this mic. It's a lapel mic, so I'm not using the computer microphone, and hopefully everyone can hear me all right. All right. Hey, August. Welcome. Hey, Jenny. All right, great. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Deborah. There's a little bit of a delay, so it takes a little while from when I say that I ask the question for your answers to show up. So great. I'm glad that you're all hearing me. Super clear. Great. Awesome. All right. Thanks, Jenny. All right. So some of you may have done this technique with me before in my yoga classes. For others of you, it might be brand new. So let's go over just some of the benefits of this particular pranayama. I want to mention it can be done laying down. It can also be done seated. Okay, so this is a great one to do in bed in the evening. Hey, Dad, welcome, Amy. So this is great for insomnia. Okay, and I know when people are worried, like you might be right now, you might have insomnia, your thoughts might keep you up. So this is a great technique to do. It's very calming, very relaxing. So it's said to be tranquilizing. It's also warming. It sort of heats the body from within. It calms and soothes the nervous system. It calms the mind or tranquilizes the mind, so it helps to slow it down, thus again helping with sleep. It also slows your heart, and it's good for high blood pressure. So if those are problems that you encounter, then this might be a good technique for you to learn. All right, so we'll go over the technique in isolation, and then we'll see about combining it with some other yogic breathing techniques to enhance its effects. Okay, so the basic technique, this is Ujjayi means victory, so this is sometimes translated as it actually just means like victory breath. So it is sometimes in English called the ocean sounding breath, okay? And it sounds a little bit like this. Okay, so I'm not sure how that's coming across on your end, but in person it does kind of sound like the ocean in your own head when you're making that sound, like ocean waves kind of rolling in and rolling out. Sometimes people liken it to Darth Vader, the sound of Darth Vader's voice, or someone who's having trouble breathing. So the technique is rather simple. If you've ever fogged a mirror, so like, that's essentially it. It's exactly the same technique. What you're doing when you do that is you are constricting your glottis, which is a flap in your throat there. And as you constrict it, it doesn't allow the air to go through freely, and it begins to create friction. And so just like steam leaving a kettle or something like that, steam leaving a pipe where it makes a sound, it's the same leaving your throat. When you constrict enough, it begins to create a sound there, create some friction. And that friction, like all friction, creates heat. So as I mentioned earlier, this technique is one way that we can create heat if we're cold. All right, so I do want to clear up one very common misunderstanding or misconception about this. Is some people try and do this technique like this. Okay, that's coming from here. That's a sniff. So Ujjayi isn't breathing so deeply that you're creating a sniffing sound. It's coming from here. And it's very, very slow. It's very controlled, okay? And so the technique, like I said, it's like fogging a mirror. I think you all know how to do that. But we use the same technique on the inhale as well. So you can try this. Imagine you have a mirror. You can grab if you have a handheld mirror, you can use that. Okay, so did you see what I did there? I had my mouth open. So we want to learn to do it with our mouth closed. We want to learn to do it on both the inhale and the exhale. Now it may take a little bit of practice, and that's perfectly fine. You don't have to rush doing this. Okay? So that's the technique in essence, in isolation. But like many yoga techniques, it's very often, or maybe more commonly, used in combination with other techniques. Okay, so what are some of the other techniques? Well, the first one that I would pair it with is called Samavritti. Sama means same and vritti means movement. So what Samavritti means is the inhale and the exhale are the same length. So try making the sound, okay, sitting there with me, sitting comfortably. Make sure you're comfortable, you're sitting tall, so that your lungs and your diaphragm can move freely. And then try counting it. Okay, so let's try that. You don't have to breathe at the same rate as me, but let's just try counting it. So take a nice deep breath in and we'll exhale. Hopefully you can see there I have about a 5 count. Okay, and that's a nice sort of middle of the road number. You may be breathing much shorter than that. That's okay. Your breath might be longer than that, which is awesome, because generally with these breathing techniques, the slower and the longer they are, the better. Okay, generally speaking, especially with this one. Okay, so that's called Samavritti. The inhale and the exhale are the same count, the same length. Now we'll add a technique that I taught you last week, which is called Dirgha, okay, 3-part yogic breathing. So if you missed that tutorial, you can go back and watch it. It's free on my Patreon page. It's the first pranayama that I taught, and I have about a 20-minute tutorial there that you can watch and go over that. But the basics of it are, on the inhale, you allow your belly to begin to expand out. The belly first, just the belly. That's going to be your diaphragm moving down. It pushes your abdominal organs out as it does. And that begins to fill the lungs all the way at the bottom of the lobes of the lung there. Okay, so it really draws the breath down deep. Then we allow the ribs to begin to expand, okay, until they can't go any further. And then at the end, we let the clavicle lift up, okay? And then as we exhale, we reverse that. The clavicle comes down, and then the ribs, and then the belly. So that's a good technique to master on its own, okay? And combining that with the samavriti, the equal count on the inhale and the exhale. All right, so we'd like to learn how to do that. And again, we want them to be separate. So sometimes when I teach people the three-part breathing, they immediately begin doing that ocean sound. But they are separate techniques. They're complementary. We would like to be able to pair them together, but we also want to be able to do them separately. So let's go ahead and try the three-part breathing, and then we'll add the ocean breath on top of that. So again, we're going to sit nice and tall, spine erect, okay, face and shoulders relaxed, and then as we inhale, we'll fill first the belly, then the ribs, then the upper chest. Reverse that. Okay, a few more times. And see if you can make that breath really, really quiet. So there's no sound, not at your nostrils, not at your throat. And the reason I ask you to do that is when your breath is able to be quiet like that, it means that it's really slow. And it means you're really paying attention to your breath. And that's exactly what we want. We want a slow, very deliberate inhale and exhale. Okay, so see if you can do that a few more times. All right, now let's see if we can add the ocean sound, Ujjayi, the victory breath, on top of the complete yogic breath. Okay, so combining those two together with the other technique, which is the Y-ACEP, is very, very powerful for, again, inducing relaxation, inducing sleep, calming the mind and the nervous system. So what I actually recommend, if you have some time now, is if you've got your yoga mat out and you've got some space, quiet space in which you can practice, is to actually lay down. If you did the 3-part breathing tutorial with me, then you know that down when we did that. And I recommend that here too. It's not that you can't do those techniques seated upright. It's fine to do that, but it's also nice to do them laying down, especially, again, if you're trying to induce sleep or deep relaxation. It's really nice to do these techniques laying down. And if you did the 3-part breathing tutorial, you know we placed our hands on the chest and the belly and the clavicle to feel them move. So if you didn't do that tutorial with me, then I recommend going back. Let me see if I can find the link for it. But I recommend going back and reviewing that technique, and then you can come back and add the Ujjayi, because you already know how to do Ujjayi now, and then pair them together and see how that feels for you. And now these can be paired together with postures. So if you've ever done my vinyasa class or a hatha yoga class with me, almost anything besides yang yoga or yin yoga, you know that I teach these techniques right at the beginning of the class because they pair very, very well and are almost essential for doing those types of classes, to really turn them, you might say, turn what would otherwise be just sort of exercise into yoga. Okay, so that's what I recommend, is if you're going to do it on its own, again, you can sit upright, you can lay down, you can spend several minutes just doing these techniques on their own, but you can also pair them up with favorite yoga. And that even includes yin yoga, for instance. I don't usually teach pranayams when I'm teaching yin yoga, but it's not to say that you can't do that. Okay, so let me go ahead. My computer's just being really slow with loading these links. So I am going to copy this here. Feel free to contact me if you have questions about any of this. I'm also available to do one-on-one work if you've got some spiritual work that you want to work on. Here are some links here. I am sort of out of work at the moment, so if you enjoyed this, you want to see more of this kind of thing, you want to make a one-time donation or sign up on my Patreon page, that is very much appreciated. And again, any questions for me, you can contact me on my website, mahapathayoga.com. On my Patreon page, the link is there. And again, the most important thing isn't that you donate money or anything like that. The most important thing is that you're doing your practice. That's really what the world needs. So I hope you take these techniques and that you run with them and that you really use them. And again, if you're having any kind of trouble, feel free to reach out to me. Share these with people who you think can use them and benefit from them. Okay, and there's, again, a lot more material on that Patreon page. Even if you don't want to donate anything, it's all free right now. I'm just making everything available to everybody because I know that we need it. So if you want to learn Dirga, you want to do some different types of asana practice, I have yin practices up there, I have yang practices, I have vinyasa practices, yoga nidras. These are things that normally you would pay a lot of money to do, like in a workshop with me, or you'd go to a yoga studio to do a class with me, but I'm just trying to make this available to everybody right now. All right. Well, thank you for stopping by. Thank you, Sibley. It was great to see you. Tomorrow night I am teaching for studio, but I will be posting this week's yin sequence. So again, keep an eye out for that if you're a yin yoga fan. And then I think I'll be back on Thursday with a new Yoga Nidra. And again, Yoga Nidra also very good for sleep, very good for relaxation. Thanks, Ginny. I hope you enjoyed that. All right, everyone. So namaste. Thank you so much for your time, and I will see you soon.